30 years there has been no apparent increase in personal happiness in Western nations, despite steadily growing economies in both Europe and their USA. Surveys have found no greater level of happiness since the 1950s, which seems strange since wealthier people generally claim to be happier than poorer people. In America, for example, more than a third of the richest group said they were very happy, while only half this number of the poorest made the same claim. Although it would be logical to expect that rising national wealth would lead to greater national happiness, this has not happened. Individually, more money does seem to increase happiness, but when everyone gets richer, no one appears to feel better. Economists have recently paid more attention to studying happiness, instead of the more traditional GDP per person. One suggestion has been that people rapidly get used to improvements, and therefore devalue them. Central heating is a good example, whereas 30 years ago it was a luxury item, today it is standard in nearly every home. South Korea is planning to move its capital from Seoul to a new site in the middle of the country. Although Seoul has been the capital since the 14th century, the city of over 20 million is now very crowded, and also close to the hostile armies of North Korea. The new capital is planned to cost $45 billion, with construction finishing by 2012. There is, however, strong opposition to the project, since similar schemes in other countries have taken far longer and cost much more than originally planned. Australia, for example, took over 70 years to finish building Canberra, while Nigeria has never completed its planned new capital, Abuja. Both Brazil and Malaysia have found that the building of new capitals, Brasilia and Putrajaya, can sharply increase the national burden of debt. Even if the government does eventually move to the new capital, it is unlikely that South Korea's main businesses will follow it, so Seoul will probably continue to be the country's principal city.
Most medical people despised the press, holding attitudes not totally unfamiliar today. Reporters tended to be suckers for every quack, half-quack, overeager scientist, or naive country doctor who thought he had a serum to cure tuberculosis, a herbal remedy for cancer, or a new surgical procedure to rejuvenate the aged. When the newspapers were not wasting space on undeserving medical stories, they were overplaying legitimate news, getting their facts wrong, and generally making a nuisance of themselves, interfering in the lives and practices of busy professionals. Doctors' deep suspicion of what they read in the newspapers and even in the less carefully edited of the medical journals helps to explain some of the early skepticism about insulin in countries like Britain. Oh, the Americans are always curing everything. This week it's diabetes. Even in Canada and the United States, it was some months before there was enough confirmation of the unlikely news from Toronto to convince wire services and the more skeptical doctors and editors that insulin was, indeed, the real thing.